Hello and welcome to Talking WoW, the podcast where, believe it or not, we talk about World of Warcraft. My name is Tom, and on today's episode, we are going to be talking about finding your safe place in Azeroth. And to do that, we are joined by a very, very special person. No, it's not Marty. It is our wonderful guest, Demeternoth, who is the Bifactional Bisexual MMORPG streamer. Hello, Demi.
Hello.
I've been told to call you Demi for short because that is a lot easier than saying Demeternoth.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful. So yeah, Demi is easier on everybody, I think.
But we are so excited to have you here today because I know having a safe space is something that is really important to you, and we're excited to delve into that. But as mentioned also in the intro, Marty is here. Hello, Marty.
Hello, I've been here the whole time, and I'm still here.
A running joke that Marty gets a little bit of an underwhelming introduction, but of course, well, I'm happy to have you here as well, Marty. It's, you know,
Well, yeah.
I'm more excited about Demi, but you know, I'm still happy you're here.
It's fine, it's fine.
So, Demi, making those safe places in Azeroth. I know that you are part of a couple of projects that are doing just that, and I've been getting involved in your streams a little bit as well, watching you stream World of Warcraft, causing mischief, all sorts of shenanigans going over on Demi's Twitch stream. Even just being someone that has recently returned to World of Warcraft and watching you stream, and just your general vibe of inclusivity and welcoming people into that fold, it's elevated my return to World of Warcraft, just seeing someone in the community like that. So I just wanted to say thanks for that.
Well, thank you.
But yes, you are also part of a initiative called Dungeon Dojo, and this is something I've actually jumped into the Discord yet, but I haven't got too far into it yet. But do you want to tell us a little bit about what Dungeon Dojo is? Because I think it is an incredible thing.
Yeah, so Dungeon Dojo is led by the amazing WERKing, who is, although they're not part of the LGBTQIA plus community, they are a very staunch ally, and are very strong in their conviction about being an ally. So I've been lucky enough to physically meet WERKing and his beautiful wife, Purple Pixels. And he created the Dungeon Dojo, I think probably 18 months, maybe 2 years ago now. It's been going for a while, but specifically to help people who are just returning to WoW or who have never played get into Mythic Plus, get into raiding in a non-toxic, safe, inclusive environment. I have done it. They took me through my highest ever key. They got me a 13, which I never would have thought I would ever get. And WERKing is very patient, very understanding, and the way he explains the mechanics, I've raided, I've done lots of different things, but the way he explains the mechanics keeps it really simple. I was able to understand exactly what he meant straight away. There was no kind of, oh, I don't know what you mean by swirly on the ground or blue bit over there or whatever it might be, you know. It was very clear, and they are actively growing. We as a stream team are growing, the community's growing, and it is a great place if you lack that confidence and want to get back into it. WERKing is proactive about not allowing people in or removing people who go against the ethos of the dojo, and that to me is very important, because I can't recommend a place to my community which has very vulnerable people in it if I don't think they're going to be 100% safe. So that was very important to me. And it's a safe, supportive, friendly, you know. I don't want people to get the idea that dojo is like up on its high horse and sort of, you know, not having fun. There is a lot of fun and we support each other, but there is room for like humor and, gosh, having a good time. Wouldn't that be terrible to have in a video game, you know?
Oh,
Wait, what?
Who plays games for fun?
Well, exactly,
This is very serious business, isn't it?
Exactly, well, terribly serious. You know, you're doing Mythic Plus. You know, you've got to be on the ball. And the other thing I would say is they're not about, you know, you don't have to be meta at any point. One of the big things of Dungeon Dojo is play what you enjoy. You know, there is room for everybody. And they can, they help people get Keystone Master, they help people get AOTC, all those kinds of things that you want to be able to enjoy in a game without barriers or, blocks put in the way because you're not playing the meta class or whatever it might be. So it's very much about an inclusive place, not just in terms of like marginalized people, but also in terms of play style, which I think is actually probably a bigger part of it in many ways, and is as important as everything else.
Absolutely, because I think all throughout the years of World of Warcraft, we're always being told, oh, bring the player, not the class or the specialization. But I think that has really changed because everything now is data mined, everything is run through the number cruncher, and everything is like, well, if you're not playing this spec and if you don't have this talent point here and there, like, you're a pathetic player, and I can't believe that you would ever use your initiative to play the game however you wanted. But I think having a place where you can play how you want to, but also, and I know this is something me and Marty have spoke about when it comes to your specialization or your class, it's when you feel comfortable with something like a play style or even a specialization. And I've heard this from a few people that are in the Dungeon Dojo. They're better for playing a specialization that they're comfortable with than trying to, maybe they're a frost mage, but everyone's saying, you've got to be arcane. Like, what are you doing? You're not a real mage. You're not a real mage. You got to play arcane, but you're specialized into frost, and it's like, that's what I do best at. That's what I'm good at. And I think that definitely should be encouraged.
You even have that within the same spec. For instance, playing an elemental shaman, which I have done quite a bit, there's different talents where the playstyle changes pretty drastically depending on what you're picking. And if I were to go with, the one that everyone is using, the one that you should be doing, then I'm first of all not having a fun time because I don't like the whole rotation of it, and it's just awkward to me. Whereas if I go to the subpar one, I'm having a better time. I'm performing better. I'll do all the extra tasks that you need to do as well, like interrupting or stunning or stuff like that, because I'm used to playing it. I have the mental capacity to, now also do those small extra things that actually makes you get through that plus 13 key in time,
Yeah, and there's definitely an argument for playing the spec that you love. Anybody who's watched me play WoW knows that I particularly have a bent towards Death Knights.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a well-kept secret, that one. But also Unholy Death Knights. And people are like, oh, well, Frost is... I'm not interested. I've only ever done Frost as a tank if I've had to, and I can't remember it. I've blanked it out. And, I do play tank spec as well. Like, I will do Go Blood and tank, but my preference is Unholy, always has been. And I have a build that is not the meta build. I tend to go with things that are going to help me live longer, because I am terrible for standing and stuff. And I do build some utility, and I do like having interrupts as a Death Knight. I will try and use my interrupts and my things like Chains of Ice and that sort of thing that help. But my preference is survivability, and so I will prioritize things that give me that over a DPS boost sometimes. And I don't feel penalised for that in the dojo. Wochi didn't say to me, oh, I've checked out your spec, you're going to have to go and do this to come and do a key with us. It was like, just come along. And to be fair to Wochi, he had to work hard to get me to do a key because I had been burned. And yeah, he was like, come on, we're going tonight. And he finally got me to commit. And it was one of the best dungeon experiences I've had in years. So,
and I think that's so lovely to hear, because I definitely have a few guildies who is like just staying away from Mythic Plus for those reasons, where they have been burned sometimes because some people are just, pardon my French, asshats. And it's just, but we're guildies. It's fine. You can go with us. We won't yell at you. We just want you to be part of it, and it's just so difficult to get them into it. But I understand it, because I feel it. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
With randoms, I don't want to go, even though it could be an great experience. But I've just been burned.
It's funny that I feel more pressure going in with guildies. Because I don't want to let them down, but I don't want to go and run with randoms because I don't want the toxicity.
Yeah.
So the dojo is a really good. I don't want to call it a compromise, but it's a really good filler for that gap where I don't want to let people down that I know, And I know like guildies won't get mad at me, but I'm still like, I don't want to let you down. So dojo is a great place to go and practice and build that confidence. And I've told everybody that I've met in WoW, like, go in the dojo, find people, it'll be okay. And it's that kind of practice scenario where you can go and build that confidence without feeling like I'm letting people down. Yeah. And then I can step back in and feel that I can hold my own with my guildies and not let them down. So,
and I think that actually makes sense, because when you're in a guild, there is a certain expectation there as well of what you're going to achieve. But if you have a separate community like you do with the Dungeon Dojo, where it's like, well, we don't do things always conventional here, and you're going to bring your own spec, and that means that sometimes everything is not going to go potentially as smooth as it could be. But it's that setting that expectation out there already that everyone's welcome here. There's going to be mess ups. There's going to be things where it doesn't go right. And I've even watched a bit of Wochi play, and Wochi dies, and it's fine.
What?
Wochi's not like,
how dare he?
What the hell?
Flipping the table or getting angry. It's just like, you res up and you carry on. And if you make it through the Mythic Plus in time, you make it through in time. If you don't, you try again sometime if you want to. I think that is just such a refreshing feeling that we just have so much toxicity out there that having these spaces created where people are going to come in and they're going to experiment with their builds as well. And I think that should be encouraged. Like, we should encourage people to get creative with their specs, especially now that we can change them up on the fly. And there's so many different mechanics. And you know what? Somebody might discover that something works well here and doesn't work well here. And if we were all just so rigid in what we're supposed to be specialized as, then you don't ever really discover those things.
And it's such an interesting thing as well, because I've actually been watching a lot of Maximum Limits Liquid, I think it's now, their raid leader, and I've seen a lot of his content. And obviously I'm a European, so I'm on the EU team. I'm rooting for those, obviously, but I've actually been watching Max quite a bit lately because it's so fascinating to see him raid lead people, because there's never something where he starts, getting angry or frustrated. He's always just calm, and we're like, all right, that's fine. Pick it back up. Let's do it again. And even those teams encourage you to, as Tom said or mentioned, that you should try out different things and figure out if there is some way where we can get an edge and get this boss down. And so I think it's those high tier players, that's how they're doing it. So why are we the not so great raiders or whatever? Why do we have to be angry with each other when it shouldn't be like that? So.
And I think that is the truly best players of the game, of the community, that are able to adapt and evolve based on what their group composition is. And something I see all the time is, if you ever have the pleasure of going into battlegrounds, don't know if you do that or putting yourself through that, but you will get the type of people that just, they come in, they don't say anything constructive, and they're just angry. They'll just start insulting people, and you're always sitting there thinking, well, what does that actually achieve? It doesn't achieve anything. It's not motivating. It's demoralizing. People usually just go, okay, well, I'm giving up because I'm not here to be I'm not here to take shit from people that I don't know. And then you get people, and I try to be this person as well, that I just blank out that it's not going well, but I just try and say okay, well, we've got some incoming over here, and there's 3 horde over at this flag here, and just basically relaying information that might be useful for people to use. That's not saying that people are going to listen to. They probably won't, but there'll be people that actually go, okay, that person's saying there's 3 over here, so I'm going to go over here. You have a better chance of getting where you want to be in World of Warcraft if you lose the attitude.
Yeah. And it only takes a few people in a battleground, for instance, because we've been playing Battlegrounds together. Tom and I have been playing Battlegrounds together, and it just takes...
Braver than I am.
I'd never go alone.
It just takes a few people that actually are communicating and doing things to try and prevent the other team from, get the victory, to actually turn a battle around. Just by being constructive, don't stress about it, and just communicate.
be collaborative.
Exactly.
And help. Yeah. Yeah.
Just saying that, actually, there was a battleground that I joined, and 2 people in the chat must have been in the battleground together previously, and they were like, "Oh, hey, it's so good to see you here again." And like, it was just like, "Oh my god, this is so warming." And then I'm a very like social person, like chatting in World of Warcraft. Like I love that. I love nurturing that. So I started talking to them. I was like, "Oh, that's so cute. Like you two are like meeting each other in battlegrounds all the time." And then it ended up like after the battleground, I think we lost, but it was fine. We ended up joining a group together, and then we started doing battlegrounds together, like as a threesome. And then I'm like adding people to my friends list and doing battlegrounds with this person every so often. I'm just like, oh, it's so nice. Like, it's such a good feeling. It wasn't about winning or losing. Like, it's about the friends you make along the way. And that's always what World of Warcraft has been about for me. It's not been about the shiny epics. They're nice, but it's those relationships and those friendships that's what will stay with you. When you're at the, the end of the sands of time, that's what you'll be thinking about. You'll not be thinking about that epic loot you got in
pwned that noob and
or that epic loot you got in Warlords of Draenor, or you maxed out your garrison in Warlords of Draenor. I don't know why I bring up Warlords of Draenor. It just feels like it needs a shout out sometimes. Just in the essence of finding your place in World of Warcraft as well. I actually want to direct something at Marty, because it's something that you said to me. I think during one of our many conversations in this world, that in the not too distant past, you've actually found your place in World of Warcraft because you joined a Danish speaking guild. And I know that
and I don't even know Danish.
Just upping that challenge a little bit. But I know you've been, I don't want to say around the block when it comes to guilds, but you're someone who enjoys raiding, and you've been in a lot of guilds, and I don't know, I think a definite big percentage of Blizzard income is from you server transferring.
It's not even a lie. It is probably true.
But you have found that place now. I feel like, because you've been talking really positively about this Danish guild that you found, and I think that's really cool that you found a place, with people that are speaking Danish, because obviously that's your first language. And I know that you were in a Danish guild when we met, like 15 years ago or more in World of Warcraft. Yeah. So in a way, you've come full circle. But how's your experience been finding your little place in World of Warcraft right now?
I mean, freaking difficult, because as you said, I've been in quite a few. I had a really good guild back in the day, and just life happens, and eventually some people just had moved on to other aspects of life, and the guilds have sort of just died slowly over time. And since then, I never really managed to find like my fixed place to be. So I've been searching for a long time. I've been server hopping a little bit to get into guilds, because sometimes you just don't really know until you're there, until you're in the guild to see how people are. So I'm actually I think it's cool that more and more small communities like this is popping up, where if you're searching for that place, maybe Dungeon Dojo is the place for someone. I did find a Danish guild finally. Not that I was searching for Danish guild specifically, but find a place where we're having fun, we're raiding. It's not too serious. Obviously, there will always be those few people in the guild that are a little bit more serious, that want to push a little bit more than others. But generally, we are a small group of people who just enjoy doing it and who doesn't care too much if we wipe all night. So yeah, it's taken a while, but when it's right and you find it, then it's a good feeling.
So good. Myself, I've been doing a bit of soul searching, returning to World of Warcraft, because I've been on a few servers myself, not as many as Marty. Nobody has. But one of the big things that I wanted to fall into when I returned was rolling on an RP server, because I've really missed just being out in the world and just seeing that immersion created by players. And I spent a little bit of time on Argent Dawn just with characters that I wasn't taking too seriously. But when I decided to return for Dragonflight, I was like, that's it, I'm going on an RP server now, and probably that's where I will stay now. It has been so nice that I think in some ways RP servers are a bit more community driven because of the events, and it's just that's how it makes it work, really. And there's a great little add-on in World of Warcraft for role players. It's called Total Roleplay 3, and that allows you to add all these extra areas of text about your character and really flesh out like who your character is or where they come from. Whoever has this add-on, you can like hover over them and you can see that they have this add-on. You can read all their backstory about their character, and sometimes people just leave a little note about themselves as well. This happened to me when I was just running a normal dungeon, that I saw someone's note said that they were playing on the Argent Dawn and they, just returned as well. So I was like, oh, hey, like we're doing a dungeon, just putting it out there. We were doing a dungeon with this person. And I was like, oh, hey, I see you're on Argent Dawn. Like, I'm on Argent Dawn too. I've just returned to Warcraft. And they were like, oh, hey. And then we just had like this conversation during a dungeon, like, just chatting. And it's like, that never happens anymore. Like that, because
it's rare,
people are,
at least.
It's rare because people go to do dungeons because, boom, they want to get it done. They're not here to make friends, and it's fine. Some people are just here to play a game and they don't see it like that, and I totally understand that. But this, for me, because of like most of my best memories of Warcraft are like being out in the world and maybe interacting with somebody. For example, I wouldn't have met Marty if that hadn't been the case, because back in vanilla times, just out in the world, met somebody who was part of his guild, and then eventually you become friends, and that is something that has just stuck with me. So
I've been hanging on to you since then. Basically what you're saying, right?
yeah, you have. But finding that place where you feel like you belong or you feel like home, I think that is really important. And I think potentially for many years through like Legion and what was the other expansion called? Battle for Azeroth. I don't know. I just feel like maybe I was feeling a bit lost, and I was just logging.
Not the shade on BFA.
That was a genuine forget. That wasn't a purposely forget like Shadowlands.
The what now? There was no expansion between BFA and Dragonflight. It was just we went straight from BFA to Dragonflight.
That's how I remember it too. Yeah.
Glad I didn't miss anything. But I think I have felt a bit lost, and just finding that place where it's not just about logging in and doing quests. It's about getting a bit more than that. And I know some people don't need that, but I know I do, and I think that's potentially why since my return it's just I felt like a warming inside. And outside there's lots of negativity, toxicity, but when I look at you, Demi, and I see like the community you're creating, and then being introduced to the Dungeon Dojo for you as well, and it's just like there is good things out there, and good people are trying to make a difference. And yes, there's going to be people who are going to push against that, but like we were sort of talking before we started recording, it's always important to keep flying your flag and to keep pushing forward with that, and just saying like, no, we're not going to let the negativity or the toxicity take over this. Like we're creating safe spaces, and we want people to be part of that, and to evolve that as well, and just to spread the word about that, and having people being able to find places where they feel safe and comfortable. Like that's so important.
It is. Before we started recording, we were talking about how long these fights for equality and equity and everything have been going on. And just this week I took a break from Twitter because it was too much. It was too hard. There was too much happening. I felt that some of my best friends were being attacked and threatened. And if I'm feeling like that, but I'm not in that group that is actually being attacked, then how are they feeling, And it's okay to take a break and go and recharge and then come back. Because when you're building these safe places in Azeroth and on Discord and wherever it might be, sometimes it is tiring. And that's when, we need other people in those communities to help and to step in. And it's why safe places will only ever be as safe as the people that make them. And we need allies, and we need everybody to help with those fights and maintaining those safe places. Like we can build them, but without allies to help us, it's exhausting. I'm very lucky that I have some really great mods who protect me, which enables me to protect the community and keep it safe. And I know that WERKing has lots of things in place, and the other team that I'm part of, Teamwork, Teamwork works hard to also ensure that the people coming into that stream team meet the ethos. And although not everybody in Teamwork is queer, a lot of us are, and the people that aren't are staunch allies. Wochi's in, but he runs Dungeon Dojo, but he's also a member of Teamwork, and that's equally as important. We have to have those allies to help us fight as well. And I'm proud to be part of both of those teams, building those safe places. And I will always, I will recommend those content creators because they've been pre-vetted. And if for any reason somebody slips through, then we're very quick to correct that. So it's important, and the fight has to continue until we get to like Star Trek levels of equality and equity, and then it will be fine.
Hopefully we reach that one day, but you should be so proud of those communities. You touched on Teamwork as well. So that is a stream team that you are part of, and I've been checking out a few people in Teamwork recently, just bouncing around on Twitch and enjoying the communities that they have as well. And actually something that the Teamwork have been running recently is an event which was the Hardcore Classic event, which I think you've got a little humble brag about this, Demi.
My humble brag being that I won, bitches. Yep. So there were 4 of us. So Cell Heals, who's the team lead for Teamwork, and Celestial Cassie, they kind of set it up, and then myself and Claudia Lunaria also took part. Now, I have to say that I had the least stream time available. It just so happened to fall that when the tournament was taking place, I couldn't actually stream at the weekend. Sometimes I try and stream on a weekend. It's not one of my regular slots, but I just wasn't going to be able to that weekend. There was no way.
You can't die if you're not streaming. I think that's a really smart strategy.
That's exactly what I said. Just stay in Stormwind and you're fine, right?
just don't log in and play your character and you will survive. So I wanted to, I made that clear to them from the outset. Look, I'm going to have like maybe 6 hours to stream. So I had the least stream time available, but I did last the longest. I got to level 11. My little paladin, of all things, is still alive, and I am going to keep playing. I'm going to keep going with the hardcore challenge. She's level 11. She hasn't left Elwyn. She will probably not leave Elwyn till we get to about level 13, because the last hardcore paladin I had, and the first and only other hardcore character I've done, died at level 12 to a boar in Westwall.
Not the boars.
The boars.
We've seen that South Park episode. Not the boars.
Yes. So I will continue to grind out mobs and quests in Elwyn until I get to about level 13, I think. And only then will I move down into Westfall. I know that Hogger is a level 11 quest, and I'm not doing that. I'm not doing any of that. There's a Fargo Deep Mine there's a level 8 quest in there to go and do Gold Tooth. I might approach that now, and I'll probably go into the mine and just see how it feels with lots of mobs around me. At level 11, if I get the jitters, I'm not going to do it. I'm not stupid. I am really trying not to get cocky and to just sort of take my time. And as somebody who is naturally impatient, it's really hard. But some of the things that I've loved about the challenge are that it's definitely brought new people to the community, and they've hopped in the Discord as well. And that's what I want to do, is to take up more and more space as a queer content creator who's not as young as a lot of people seem to think. I am 45. I am, older gamer. I don't feel like an older gamer, but everybody on Twitter says, if you're over 30, you're an older gamer.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Yeah. So we're all screwed here. Sorry, chaps. But yeah, I want to keep taking up that space, and doing new things has brought new people into the community, and that's great. So we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep doing hardcore, and I've really enjoyed it. I was bashing wolves and bears out by the East Vale logging camp for the entirety of was it Thursday night? No, Tuesday night. Tuesday was the last day of the challenge in the Teamwork, and I was just doing that, and I was chatting, and I was able to do it, and I was. It's a very chill way to play, actually, as long as you're not overpulling, and you're not putting yourself in silly situations.
that is how my hardcore character died. Was simply just a silly situation. It was like, I got the handle of this, and it was silly. It was off stream though, so there's no records of it. But yeah,
it's no proof. It actually happened. Yeah, I was watching Demi play the hardcore classic, and just your real grit in just not letting yourself get carried away, and you're pulling, just making sure you're trying to pull one mob at a time and not going to certain places and not doing certain quests. I was very impressed. Like
that's how
like,
we played back then.
You were taking it seriously, and you were making sure that death was not going to be an option. I think the hardcore the hardcore classic is something that we would like to talk about more on this. So probably a future episode, maybe including yourself, could be a thing. It was so enjoyable to watch that it has inspired me to look into it more and think about doing it as well. So again, thank you for that, because it was so enjoyable to watch that event. Even though it was just a little mini event, it just ran across a week. I think like just having those little events that take part in World of Warcraft, like it doesn't always have to be Race to World First or the Mythic Invitational or something. Just seeing like communities do events like this, it's enjoyable, it's engaging, you feel drawn into that, and it's just, you know, testament to everything that's happening with teamwork and Dungeon Dojo. It's adding real goodness and value to the world of Azeroth and World of Warcraft. So thank you.
Oh, that's lovely to hear, because that's what we do it for. And I've learnt this only really this week from doing a certain other podcast that I was on. You don't necessarily know what impact you might be having. So if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, and we've talked today about like the constant battle for getting society in a happier, more inclusive space. Even though you might feel like you're not getting anywhere, you are, and what you're doing is making a difference. So just keep going. Well said indeed. We'll be including links to the Dungeon Dojo and to Teamwork as well, so you can check that out if you are looking for that safe space in Azeroth. Maybe the Dungeon Dojo is a place for you, and I know from my own experience that you will be very welcome to join that over there. So thank you very much, Demi, for joining us today. What a thought-provoking chat, and it's always wonderful to speak with you, even though this is actually, I think, the first time we have spoken in person. Usually it's through a Twitch chat or something like that, but it has been an absolute pleasure. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for having me.
Until next time, everyone, this has been Talking WoW. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, champion. Did you enjoy this episode of Talking WoW? If so, why not drop a review on your podcast catcher of choice, or leave us a comment. You can find Talking WoW on Twitter or YouTube over at Talking WoW. Hope to see you again soon.